to this week's episode of the Bullpen Cart. We're coming to you live here on Google Hangouts, YouTube Live, presented by Google. A lot of different Google stuff going on. I got my boy Greggy P with me. What's going on, Greg? How are you?
Listen, I know you're used to saying Matty D. Don't go out here and start calling me Greggy P and changing up things and giving me nicknames here.
All right, I'll go by your formal name, The Prophet. Is that better?
Greg.
You'll take what? You'll just take Greg?
Listen, the MLB just put out this whole nickname uniform nonsense, all right?
Oh, you don't like it?
Listen, I like it in some regards, and I think there are some good names out there, but
yeah.
You know, the uniforms, I think, are too wacky.
The uniforms themselves are weird, but the hats are pretty awesome. At least the Phillies one's cool.
Yeah. I mean, the Red Sox have like a baby blue somewhere. It's just.
Do they really? That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, their uniform's like navy, but their hat, the baby blue. It's something weird. But
are they on the road for that weekend, or are they at home?
They're at home. Oh, they're at home.
Okay, yeah, because the Phillies are doing their like alternate jersey cream colored with like red sleeves because they're at home. They're hosting the Cubs, and the Cubs are doing that like double shades of blue type deal.
Yeah,
but yeah, the like it's that we.
Sorry.
Say like it is weird that it's that solid torso with the off color on the sleeve.
Oh, you're looking at the Red Sox jersey now?
Yeah. I've looked at all of them. Some of them are interesting. The Yankees is probably the weirdest one because it actually has the cursive Yankees. It's just so out of the ordinary for them.
Well, that's something that I want to talk about because like everyone's flipping out about, oh, the Yankees should never have your names in uniform, blah, blah, blah. Like, first of all those people need to relax. And second of all, it's one of those things where it's not like they're traditional jerseys. It's an alternate jersey that is for like one weekend. It's something that it's something the NBA did this year that had a lot of success, and it's a money-making world, and they're trying to make money, and that's what it is. And like, the Red Sox never have the name in the back of their jerseys at home, but for this they are, and the Yankees never have.
Two. For those that don't know, you have the option to put down a nickname if you wanted to. So like Aaron Altera and the Phillies is doing A.A. Ron from that Key and Peele sketch.
That's great.
Yeah, right? Some of them are pretty funny.
Go ahead.
What were you saying?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say some of them are pretty good. I think Chase Utley's is Hollywood. For the Dodgers, yeah.
What isn't Kyle? What's his name?
Who, Schwarber?
No, Kyle Seager he goes Corey Seager's brother. That's on the back of his jersey.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
That's hysterical. That my dad and I actually had a conversation about him last night, being like, yeah, the Mariners have Corey Seager's brother on the team. He's like, oh shit, no wonder they're doing so well now. Like, oh man. yeah, that's it's a solid player. It's an interesting concept. It'll be I'm already gonna buy one of the Phillies hats. Probably make that purchase this weekend when I go down to the stadium. But the uniforms are a little wacky though.
It's funny that all these things are happening at the same time. Like, football is back with the preseason, and NBA released their schedule, trying to take the shine, and then baseball decides, oh, you know what, we're gonna come out and do this freaking
uniform
jersey nonsense or whatever, and it's just like, I don't know, man. I do not.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I don't know. It's a lot of people trying to take some things from the old Red Sox. I mean, from a lot of people trying to share the spotlight and baseball and all this nonsense. What do you think? So, which jersey do you think is your favorite?
I kind of like, even though it's really, really off kilter for them, I kind of like the D-backs with that light blue as how the D-backs is written. I think that's a pretty cool concept. I mean, they've done a lot of interesting stuff with their uniforms in the last couple of years with that weird like shoulder pads kind of stuff, but it's a good design, I think.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you like?
I mean, so for me, if I'm being honest, you know, I do like D-backs. You're right with that. I mean, I kind of like the black that the White Sox have.
Yeah, the White Sox is cool, and it just has that old school Sox logo coming across the top. The Mets is pretty cool, being just solid orange, and the Mets just in giant lettering.
Yeah, and I mean every team has some good aspects about it. Like the Orioles have some good things going on, but sorry, things popping up here with ESPN.
You got to mute those tabs.
I like the Braves. They have the little arrow thing going on, and that's like a different color than the rest of their jerseys. There are some good ones. If people haven't Googled them, go ahead and do that. But I've been a big fan of like the baby blue. So the Marlins with the orange looks pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
But there are good ones, the Tigers. But the fact that you're already going to buy one just scares me a little bit because.
Well, I'm buying the hat. I'm not buying the jersey.
I was gonna say. Yeah,
the jersey's a little too off kilter, and the only time I ever wear a baseball jersey is going to a game, and it's the same jersey if I even wear it down there. It's too much to throw in. I think hockey's the only one where having multiple jerseys for options, just because the swag is the only one. Football, you get one player, you get one baseball. Basketball, I don't even touch. You just get a shirtsy.
So what do you think? What do you think of this? Right, that's something I wanted to talk about with this. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
So Rick Porcello, right?
Yeah.
He won the Cy Young.
Oh, did he?
Yes. Yeah. Did you know that?
I did know that.
And who? Well, the American League Cy Young Award winner this year is going to be Chris Sale.
What do you think he thinks of these jerseys?
Well, that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Quick little transition there. I'm not sure if he's scheduled to pitch yet or not. But do you think if these are the jerseys they have to wear, they seem like normal jerseys, just the sleeves are changed. Like they seem like the normal jerseys.
Yeah, it looks like It looks like the pullover jerseys that like the teams like the Mets used to wear in the 80s. It doesn't look any different. I think the thing he hated was the collar of that White Sox jersey last year.
Right. I'm not sure if he's scheduled to pitch or not, but anyways, those two Cy Young Award winners and were one current, one future. Chris Young on the Red Sox, his nickname is CY.
Interesting.
Which are his initials.
Interesting.
But also little Cy Young nod.
Yeah, a little tip of the cap, if you will.
Little tip of the cap. Anyways, we spend way too much time talking about jerseys. Terrible segment to start the show. Maybe you should cut it out.
Yeah, I mean, interesting little experiment. It's August. Embrace debate. Figure out something new. But we will jump into our usual business. Hot and cold teams. I think we have a pretty obvious first hot team. And Greg, do you want to take it away with your Boston Red Sox, or do you want me to talk about them?
Your show. You tell me.
Okay. Well, we'll get your thoughts on the team, but the Red Sox have won 8 in a row. And they are they're in a good spot right now, Greg, for your American League East. I think they're a crucial series coming up with the Yankees, but we'll come up to that in a little bit. At the stadium, the Yankee Stadium, I should say. I'm a little too used to talking to my dad there. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes. The Red Sox, their run differential is still a little less than the Yankees. They've let up less runs. Their offense has been pretty good. And overall, over the course of the season, they've scored about 40 runs less. But I think you guys are sitting in a pretty good spot, Greg.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy because they're getting offense from not the usual suspects, not the guys that you think. It's not Hanley Ramirez, it's not Xander Bogaerts. Pedroia's been out in the DL. Just got back 2 games ago. So it's been guys who, aren't normally your show-up guys. I mean, Nunez is obviously a huge pickup. He's been great since he came over, and it's just been guys who, we had a walk-off from Vasquez, the catcher, one of our catchers. So it's like, you get it from random places with this team, and even Benintendi got sat for a couple of games, but now he's back and he's crushing the ball again. And it's just one of those things where they're getting runs finally from all these other sources. Obviously, the Red Sox are the hot team of the week. However, we would be doing a disservice to ourselves and the rest of these huge MLB fans listening to this pod if we didn't mention the St. Louis Cardinals, who are on a 6-game win streak and only now 1 game back, tied in the wins column with the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, the Cardinals are sitting well. We kind of talked about this a little bit with Stevie G as we were coming back from the All-Star break of teams we thought could make a run, and in the National League, that was, I think, a unanimous pick of team that could run to it. But the Cardinals, I mean, their pitching staff is still pretty great, and I'd say it's one of the better ones in the National League. It's not the Dodgers. Nobody's is the Dodgers. Maybe the Red Sox. But in the National League, the Cardinals, they're getting a lot of great performance, similar to that 2013 team that had that great pitching. They had that run factory that they always seem to have. They have young talent once again. Paul DeJong has been great since he got called up and continued to tear through the All-Star break, which not all rookies can say that, Greg, and we'll get to that.
Oh, don't even started on that, Jordy. But no, and listen, obviously we have to talk about the Dodgers, but we could talk about them week in and week out. What they've
exactly.
The All-Star break has just been astronomical, and just to have 80 wins already is unbelievable at this point in the season, and it is what it is. But quite frankly, hot team of the week has to be the Red Sox for this week. 8-game win streak currently, 9-1, heading into a nice 3-game set in New York. But I just figured we'd give mention to the Cardinals and Dodgers, since throw them a little pity vote, since they both have been doing so well recently.
Oh, absolutely. One I wanted to have as an outside the box, a little hybrid hot and cold team is in the AL Central. The Minnesota Twins have, they've really fallen off, and this little bounce back, it might just be a little dead cat bounce. But they've won 4 in a row, and the Indians aren't putting away the division like they should be. They're still pretty great. They're at 60 wins. They're almost 100 games or 100 runs up in the run differential, but they're only 4 games up, and the Twins' 4-game winning streak is certainly helping them there, 6-4 in their last 10. But that pitching staff is really starting to return to the mean. But definitely worth noting to them that the AL Central is still a race to watch, especially as the AL West is starting to really widen. The NL East has always been kind of out there.
It's funny you bring up the Twins, because the 4-game win streak, the Red Sox have played some weaker teams, and people can say what they're going to say about it, but the Twins just are, they're right now they're up 7-2 in the bottom of the 9th.
Against Milwaukee.
They just 4-game sweep of Milwaukee. A team that and before this, which I was going to talk about the cold team. Good transition by me again, 2 for 2 on the transitions. But Dang. Milwaukee is a team that's competing for playoff spots, and out here on the cold teams, I mean, Milwaukee has to be right up there as one of the cold teams who really, game and a half out from Chicago, really has distanced themselves with this little getting swept by the Minnesota Twins and losing 5 in a row here.
Yeah, I mean, the Twins, they have that young talent that's been doing really well. And I think that AL Central, it's not going away like the other divisions. seemingly have. We could have easily said, especially once the Indians really started getting it going, that it could be, just the AL East and the divisions to watch. But yeah, a 4-game sweep, that's going to be 5 in a row that the Brewers have dropped, and they're quickly fallen, but they're only going to be 2 games behind the Cubs division, and they're tied with both Chicago and St. Louis in the win column. So, it's really anybody's game. The Pirates are right there. They're 3 games out right now. They won tonight in Detroit. I mean, it'll be interesting seeing how it all goes down.
No, you're not wrong, and with the other that division is going to be great to watch, and especially because the other 2 National League races are all but over at this point. I don't foresee the Dodgers or Nationals giving up their leads. And the funny thing about the Central teams is that they're not even in playoff. They're not like, if they don't win the division, they're not. The other teams aren't making the playoffs.
They're out.
Obviously there's a lot to go on between, August, September, but right now, you look at the teams out west, the Rockies and Diamondbacks, they're the teams that are in with, 65 and 64 wins respectively, whereas, the Cubs were first only have 59. So yeah, a lot can happen, but, quite frankly, it's such a tight race where there's no settling for second. You know what I mean? Like, if you settle for second, you're not in the playoffs. So that's going to be heating up. That's going to be fun to watch. But my cold team of the week, I just wanted to mention the Brewers. But my actual cold team of the week is the Cleveland Indians.
Damn it, that was mine.
Sorry, they lost again tonight. They got swept by the Red Sox. I guess it was shortened because they had the postponed game. But they're a team that, like, as we talked about, the Twins are nipping at their heels. The Royals had a chance to do something well, but they sort of tapered off a little bit. But the point,
that was going to be my backup one, was the Royals. They've their pitching staff has really started to expand in terms of their numbers, and that offense, it's less of what it was, especially from that World Series team, which was never anything stellar, but the pitching's really fallen off.
Yeah, no, and you're right, and I didn't mean to keep taking anything from you, but those 2 teams, AL Central and NL Central, the two of those things are just they're going all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's worth at least noting for cold teams as well that the Astros are in a bit of a tiff at the moment, losers of 7 of their last 10. But I mean, we both are in agreement that at least the divisional race is all but over. But little pat on the back to me and Stevie G, Greg, because the Mariners, if the playoffs started today, everybody's favorite little argument, they'd be in. They'd be traveling out to New York because they have 1 less loss than the Rays. So little pat on the back.
Listen, I'll pat you on the back all day long, bud. And you can take that however you want to take it. I was generally surprised. I mean, yeah, they have some talent, but I was a little, this happens every year at Seattle. But, quite frankly, I think they have some talent to do it. And as we discussed in the segment, I don't know if you're going to keep it in or not, the Jersey segment, but they have Corey Seager's brother.
Yeah, Corey Seager's brother. And the craziest thing, I think, is that they have all these guys. They have a relatively young team, and the guys that you traditionally look at with Seattle, at least for the longer period of time. Robinson Cano's been great, but King Felix on and off the DL, not as dominant as he has been.
Yeah, he's out for a couple weeks right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he was out for almost a couple months prior to that. So I mean, if he comes back and he comes back as King Felix, watch out. I mean, they're not going to make a run at Houston for the division, but wild card, who knows? You just got to get in.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, listen, I agree. And, it's going to be interesting. August is one of those months where it goes by quick because people go on vacations. There's preseason football. There's Hard Knocks. It's the end of Game of Thrones. It's, everything's starting to heat up. And before we know it, it's going to be September playoff baseball a little bit. So that's going to be a very
Yeah, a
interesting.
little pennant chase.
What?
But I said a little pennant chase. But
yeah.
no, August is it's that weird part of the schedule where you don't really think too much of it because of the fact that we have September call ups, there's waivers to be done, and you don't really think too much, but it's the equivalent of Saturday in a golf tournament. You need to be putting yourself in position. You don't need to be in the final group. You don't need to be in first place or 10 games up, but you need to put yourself in striking distance in that post deadline waiver trade deadline time. It's important, and you're right. It's that you kind of forget about it for a second because you're going to the beach, you're going to this, that, and the other thing. You might be going out to a preseason game or whatever you're doing, but it's certainly getting yourself in the position for that end game is all too important.
Yeah, you're right. And the best baseball that goes on in August, if we're being honest, the best baseball that goes on in August, I think you know what I'm going to say here, don't you?
I think so.
The good old Little League World Series, baby.
Oh yeah. Well, I saved a little time for that in a little bit. We'll come back around to that because you and I were talking about it a little bit, but we definitely need to share our thoughts with the crowd. But we'll move on to individual awards, and then we'll come back to Little League World Series. We'll start with our Roy Hobbs MVP of the week. And Greg, I'll let you go first. Who do you got for our most valuable player?
Listen, I've been going first and everything. Why don't you turn around and you take this one?
All right. I can do that. But my guy is going to be Tim Beckham, who was a little traded player. He this past week has batted .483, on base percentage of over 500, slugging percentage of over 800. That's an OPS of over 1,300. Very, very efficient batting, in other words. 3 homers, only 4 ribbies. Got to share the wealth, Tim. But still, your 2 walks and a double certainly is helpful, especially not really making a huge impact on the race itself, but it's definitely making its impact.
I love it. Here's where you're wrong.
Okay.
Listen, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's a great pick. I think.
Yeah, he has 5 home runs on the season, 3 in a week. Yeah. Or no, he has 5 triples. Excuse me, 15, but 3 in a week. That's 20%. It's a lot there.
It is. It's great. It's unbelievable. You're right. Not wrong. But here's where you're wrong.
Tell me who you got.
So.
Go ahead.
I could go home runs here. We could go 5 home runs, Brian Dozier. We could go with Lorenzo Cain batting .483. We could do Tim Beckham. We could do Melky Cabrera. 9 RBIs. Manny Machado 12 RBIs. I'm going with my boy Eduardo Nunez. New team, same face, new place, same play, same face, new place. Stepped in at a time for the Red Sox when Pedroia went out at second. Helping out as their third at well. They're finding he's played himself into a regular spot. Initially viewed as a depth guy, but he's ripped off 5 ribbies, 2 homers, 2 stolen bases, 367 in the last 7 days. It pretty good stats if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely worth noting. Definitely a big catalyst guy. He's getting it done. And he's been a great addition. That's definitely one of the sneakier trades to when you go look back on this season, regardless of how the Red Sox end up. I think that's going to be one of those. It's not just a plug, a stopper, whatever, however you want to phrase that. I think it's a great addition. Also worth noting, everybody's favorite process truster, Mike Trout, batted .458, little on base percentage with his 7 walks, which I didn't notice until you were talking about Eduardo. and is 3 homers, 2 doubles, slugging percentage over 900.
Yeah.
It's hard to sleep on the Trout.
No, I like that. I like that. And obviously, Mike Trout is one of those guys we talked about at the beginning of the year. You know, he puts up unbelievable numbers, but we just think it's average. So it's average for him, but for anyone else, it'd be like, oh, this is the player of the. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a tough situation for him to be in, which is unfair of us to do. But at the same time, you have to give credit where credit is due, and he certainly, since he came back from the DL, has certainly played his way into that conversation, and even to the point where I saw on ESPN that they were saying something like, "Can Trout really win the MVP?" Even though playing half the season, but I think
that seems like a very ESPN type article. Just make some news. Yeah, a little embrace debate, middle of August.
That seems like a different conversation for a different time.
But let's move on to pitchers. Let's do Billy Chappell, pitcher of the week. Greg, I'll start.
Are we not doing cold batter or person of the week?
We could. We've never done cold players.
No. We've never done. No.
Nope. Let's have this conversation. What movie character would you call the cold player of the week?
Ooh.
Yeah. It's an interesting question.
What's the third baseman from
Major League? Roger Dorn?
Dorn, yeah.
The Dorn? Don't want to give up the body?
The Dorn.
Need the face for after baseball?
The Dorn.
I don't have the stat in front of me, but that'll be just to throw it out. We'll give some Dorns, almost like Darwin Awards, or not top 10.
Well, I have one right off the top. Albert Pujols has 1 hit in his last 25 at bats in the last 7 days.
Good Lord. And it's funny because Trout's batting well, and I think Matt did the AL West with me, and we did Pujols or Trout, and Pujols has done so well batting behind Mike Trout in the last 4 years or however long it's been. But I think he's starting to let it get to him. He had a good run up until the 600th home run and a little bit beyond that, and it's been rough, really. I think since July 1st.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Anyways, sorry. Let's continue.
So Billy Chappell, pitcher of the week. I'm gonna go back to starters. I know you like when I get a bullpen guy reference there, but I'm gonna go, Greg, with the guy who was cut and he came back. He's helped out a team we mentioned in the hot teams. Going with Big Sexy. Bartolo Colon.
Wow.
Yeah. In the last week, he has a whip of 1. A lot of control, only let up 2 walks, but 14 hits. Not really what you want to see there. 2 wins, though, only 4 runs. It's an ERA of 2.25, 16 innings, which there's another guy that's definitely worth mentioning in his last 7 days, and I think that's probably who you'll have. And if not, we'll have to mention him. But Greg, who do you got?
Well, who do you think I was going to say?
I mean, there's one guy that pitched 2 complete games this week. So is it that guy, or who do you got?
I mean, do you want me to mention the guy who pitched 2 complete innings this week?
Do you want me to I'm losing it. This is a bad joke. Who do you got?
Corey Kluber has been doing well. You're right. 2 earned runs and 2 starts and 22 strikeouts and only 1 walk. I mean, that's a pretty good week if you ask me.
Pretty good.
Bartolo Colon was a great pick, Jordy.
Oh yeah.
Nice job.
I saw him pitch when he was still on the Braves, and he's just as big and just as sexy as ever. I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
I'm gonna go. As I hate Justin Verlander, Corey Kluber and Trevor Bauer, 2 guys from Cleveland, both had great weeks. But the Cleveland loss from last year still stings me a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Just a bit.
I'm going to go Madison Bumgarner.
Great pick.
He came back. How long has he been back?
Like a month.
So since the All-Star break, right?
Yeah, it's like the All-Star break, I think.
And I don't think he really found a stroke. And this week, sort of, he got it a little bit going. 14 strikeouts. Two outings, 7 innings. Well, average 7 innings for both.
Yeah.
Pretty for him. It's a good start. Good way to get back into it. I think he did well enough to get himself on this list for me.
Yeah, no, it's a great pick. I had a joke for Trevor Bauer. Do you think the AAA team having the Trevor Bauer drone bobbleheads pissed him off enough to earn his way in the top pitchers of the last week?
Yeah, certainly should have.
Savage move by them. Other guys worth noting: Zach Greinke had an okay week for Zach Greinke, kind of like what you were saying for Trout. He only pitched 2 starts, so in almost 13 innings. Not very good on the old ERA. That he let up 9 runs, but he still struck out 16, which is pretty nice strikeouts to 9 ratio there. Walked 4, so a little bit high of a whip. Chad Kuhl, who is the Pirates pitcher. It's worth noting he went to the University of Delaware, so I've seen him pitch a few times. His wife, Greg, actually might now be fiance, but she couldn't be his fiance until like last October. And you know why that is, Greg?
I have no idea.
That's a really random fact, but the Miss America pageant is in, I think, the end of September. And his wife is the former Miss Delaware because they're engaged.
So you're saying that they couldn't be engaged because she was Miss Delaware?
Yeah, she's Miss Delaware. She can't be engaged. She can't be married,
But if you're engaged,
beauty pageants,
you're still Miss.
I don't know. Let's not dive down the gender studies side of this. I just wanted to point out that he has a wife that's
I think I don't know.
A pageant queen.
I think this might be a Geordie fact on this one.
No, it's true. They both went to Delaware. She was in Delta Gamma. I know this from Emily, third and girl, who also is in that sorority. This is a big deal. We saw his first start in the majors. It was in Philadelphia, so there was a big Blue Hens crowd. It was a big deal.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah. I just wanted to worth noting there. Somehow Jared Eichhoff is up here. I ordered it by innings pitched, but he has a win, but yeah, let's move on. We'll do rookies. Greg, since I started with pitchers, I'm going to let you start with the rookies. Who do you got?
All rookies or pitchers or batting or anything?
They're rookies. They just have to be in their first year in the league.
No, I'm saying it could be a pitcher or batter. It's any.
Yeah, they're in their first year in the league. They're eligible. It does not matter what position they play. I don't discriminate.
All right. All I was asking. Okay.
All right.
Don't need to get the attitude over here, bud. All right.
Go ahead.
Oh, you're big into this right now. What's I'm gonna go with Andrew Benintendi.
Oh, knew it. Got him.
A little bit of a homer pick. Batting 500 last 7 games. Hit a home run, which is the first one in a while for him. 5 stolen bases. I mean, come on. This team just loves stealing bases right now. No, that's my homer pick.
That's a good pick, and it's the best in the bigs in the last week in terms of stolen bases.
Yeah, no, you're right, and he certainly has looked. He's looked unbelievable recently, and over this stretch, and helped the team out a little bit. But my non-biased pick, Yuli Gurriel.
Gurriel? Gurriel. It's not Gurriel. That's somebody else. But yeah, the Houston Astros. He's good. That's a great pick.
Yeah, I know. That's why I picked it.
All right. Pat yourself on the back there. All right. Cool.
Listen, the Astros have been struggling recently, but this guy certainly is not. Last 7 days he's had 11 hits, 6 RBIs, 440, 5 runs. So he put himself together. Good little stretch here. So for me, definitely Benintendi, but it's worth noting the Astros rookie first baseman.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I could go full homer and pick Nick Williams and his, nice hitting streak that he had for a little bit, but I'm not. I'm going to go with Paul DeJong. I mentioned him before. Been on a great tear since he got called up, and he stormed through the All-Star break. Been hitting pretty well, hitting 310 over the last week. Couple homers, few RBI, striking out a little more than you might want out of a sort of utility middle infielder type of guy. But it's not the worst thing in the world.
No, I like that. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Trevor Williams, the Pittsburgh pitcher who had a 1-hit, 1 start in 7 innings out there, no earned runs. Pretty good debut if that was his debut. Or at least definitely not his debut, but he had a good start this week and pitched well.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, that's a great pick as well. But let's we're gonna skip the minor leagues. We haven't done that in a little bit, but for the sake of time, we'll move right along. Greg, we got your lowdown on the Red Sox. Any other notes you wanted to give on the team?
No, I mean it's they went from a team that was sputtering a little bit and had played themselves out of first to a team that has now regained that first place title or mantle. The issue that the thing that scares me a little bit is that when the Red Sox had their 7-game or 6-game win streak back in last month, they turned around and had the huge little loss, little cold team action. So I'm hoping that that's not the trend this time around. I'm hoping they're able to. Obviously, I'm not expecting them to win out, but hopefully they have some sustainability in terms of, winning most, if not all, the series left that they have in the season. At least coming out with a tie if it's a 4-game or what have you. But for me, I think that's really what I think is scaring me the most right now is the inconsistency of this team. I wish that they were a little more consistent, but time will tell. And the fact that Porcello has started to look good recently, the fact that they're getting their Cy Young ace, the fact that Price, back in the DL, but he's looking good, and Sale, and between them all, the three of them, and then Ivan Rodriguez is coming back for the Yankees. So hopefully, they're starting rotations together. Their bullpen's unbelievable thanks to the good old Mets. They picked up a nice little 8th-inning guy.
I was going to ask you, how do you feel about the Addison Reed trade?
Well, for starters, his first batter that he faced with the Red Sox, he let up a home run, but at Fenway Park over the Monsters. So welcome to it. The only thing that saved him in that game was the fact that they were up by 3 runs at the time, or 2 runs at the time, and then the next inning, our boy Craig Kimbrell went ahead and let up a home run as well. So, but I love it. They needed a bullpen. Their bullpen, it just makes them that much stronger, I think, and in my opinion, I think it strengthens them a lot.
Definitely. Awesome. Yeah, I think you guys are sitting pretty at the moment. Definitely, like you said, the inconsistency is certainly to be something to not take lightly, but I think you're trending upwards in the right way, and I think the starting pitching definitely helps out with that, and adding the bullpen arm it's invaluable. That's been the big conclusion there. I think
it's something that hurt them last year too. They were a team last year that had a little inconsistencies as well, and people make excuses, blah blah blah. But when they went into the playoffs, it really showed. They couldn't hit in that Indian series, and then it's just one of those things where they were super hot in the beginning of September and then cooled off by the end of September, and that carried over. So I'm hoping that the young talent figures out how to be consistent and continues to be consistent, and I'm not expecting a World Series, but for them to make the playoffs and get out of the first round, I think would be, for me, a reasonable expectation.
Oh, definitely, and I think kind of to compare to last year and what we talked about with Benintendi, the fact that they are stealing more bases and it's not this, because last year at least the way that they were perceived were this, power offense, and that's what they did, this traditional American League style, and they're playing in that more speedy type of speeding type of offense, and it's exciting to see. And I think if your starting pitching continues to trend it upward like it is, that's something where you can definitely think first, ALCS run at least, and potentially a little further, but it kind of depends on landscape coming in. The hot team always, if they get hot at the right time, it's hard to stop. But who knows? I mean, the Cubs weren't the best in the playoffs last year, and they still came out with it.
Yeah, it's crazy because they had the pitching, and they have the pitching, and that's the thing is that the Cubs had the pitching, and the pitching was hot at the right time, and even the Indians the same thing. Like, they had the pitching, they were hot at the right time, and that's something that I think is key for playoffs. Is pitching. Yeah, you can talk about offense and this and that, but if your pitchers aren't there, and if you can't win a game 1-0 or 2-1 in the playoffs, I don't think you're winning the World Series.
Well, let's use that phrase. If you can't win a close game, let's not even think in the playoffs. Let's just think in general terms. It's the perfect segue to the Phillies, Greg. It's been inconsistency is to describe how the team's been recently. They actually have been okay since the All-Star break. They're now only one game away from not being the worst.
Hey!
All right. Yeah. A little bit of celebration time there. But they had a 5-game winning streak. They have owned the Atlanta Braves for one. They just wrapped up their second straight series sweep. Had a 3-game sweep in Philly a couple weekends ago. Went out west, and it was a bloodbath. Were swept by the Angels, then almost got swept by the Rockies and ended up winning a close 3-2 game. But then they swept the Braves in a nice little 2-game set. Come back to Philly today and get demolished by the New York Mets. So it's been definitely, it's the peaks and valleys. It's not even ups and downs. It's a lot to take in.
Let's not. They're going up against DeGrom.
That's true. And Velasquez has been, he's still been injury ridden. He left in the first inning. Apparently couldn't feel his middle finger. It was very numb, is what he told the training staff. Left after an inning after he let up a bomb. Mets ended up having 4 homers, and kind of the rest was history. DeGrom, like you said, he's still great. It's unfortunate how, like Stevie G said, when we spoke with him last month, all the injuries and where they are sitting. But on the Phil's side, it's been interesting since the All-Star break, I'll tell you.
I knew we were going to talk about the Phillies, so I did some homework.
Oh, all right.
So first things first, we'll talk about tonight's game. I'm not sure if you watched the Thursday night game.
I saw pieces. Yeah, I had my own routing to have to handle in intramural softball. We won't get into that.
Routed the other team.
No, we got routed. It was tough. My hitting streak stays alive though, but team first.
You would. Yeah. Oh God. Beer league softball, and you're keeping stats, and you're keeping hit streaks.
No, I'm not keeping the hit streaks. I've never not hit in a game. Knock on wood. It's hard to not keep track. It's hard to keep track or to not keep track when you've never not gotten a hit in a game.
It's meant
again. Knock on wood.
It's a beer league softball. Of course you're gonna get a hit. It's slow pitch. Anyways, oh my God.
You'd be surprised. Some of the people that play in our league.
Yeah, you played baseball though.
That's true.
You're an athlete.
And an athlete.
Question. Oh God. I really want to continue on this softball talk. I have so many questions. And I'm only going to ask one. I'm only going to ask one, since I
For the sake of time, we could have another pod on this. Special pod.
rattle. Oh my god, I can't even begin to figure out which question I want to ask. Let me
think about it. Give your take on the Phillies, and then come back around.
All right, for tonight's game, Rise Hoshkin, Major League debut. How do you do?
He did okay.
Is it Rees?
I think it's Rise. I've always said Rise. Yeah, but he played left field. Interesting little way that they designed the lineup. Tommy Joseph's still at first. They're still trying to figure out what to do, and because of a powerless trade deadline, they weren't really able to do anything with him. But yeah, I mean, he played left field and batted seventh, did okay. And I'm pulling up the stats now. He
did I stump the G-Man?
Yeah, I need the didn't know we were gonna go dive right into the game, but he went 0 for 2 with a walk, so at least he has the OBP up on the board. No hit yet.
Still hasn't got his first hit. That's fine. That's fine.
I mean, you can at least say that. I got struck out by Jacob deGrom. Maybe he gets a T-shirt.
No, listen, he was killing it. 29 homers down in the minor leagues.
Yeah, he and not Nick Cousins. That's a hockey player. And Dylan Cousins were killing the ball. They were the new Bash brothers. Yeah,
you had mentioned them a couple times, so I'm impressed that they're there. My other question that I wanted to talk about is Abdullah Herrera, 2 triples.
El Torito.
2 triples, and one was a back-to-back at bats.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's had a great comeback since really July 1st. He's done pretty well. He still isn't the El Torito of old. He's moved back to third, though, in the lineup. This is the more traditional Phillies lineup that we were hoping to see. Hernandez batting first, Galvis second, fourth. Franco's still struggling this year, but Herrera took his batting average in about a month and a half from like 235 to 283. And he's hit a lot of extra base hits. He's done pretty well. He's close to a 500 slugging percentage at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. 464 is after tonight.
So, were you happy that the Phillies didn't do anything at the deadline, or were you upset?
Well, it's not that they didn't do anything. They made some interesting moves. They got rid of Jeremy Hellickson to the Orioles of all teams. Then Howie Kendrick went to the Nationals. They sent Joaquin Benoit out to Pittsburgh for prospect. They did move our boy, your favorite pitching arm motion, Pat Neshek, off to the Rockies, and they got a couple prospects for that. I was pretty happy with that. But other than that, Matt and I got into it a little bit. There wasn't, in terms of batters, there weren't really a ton of moves you could make. So getting rid of some and some of the older players, for one, skews the age.
I meant more of
incredibly downward.
When I said didn't do anything, I meant more of like they didn't go out and. I feel like they just got depth down in the minors. I don't think they went out and got some top prospects.
No, I mean the one thing is, who are you going to send for it? You can't, you could send Franco, and you're probably going to get 80 cents on the dollar. He's batting 228 after tonight. It went going 1 for 3, so his average went up tonight. I mean, there was talks that maybe they were going to send him. There was a rumor for a day that Odubel Herrera could be sent, and nobody wanted that to happen. He's one of the fan favorites out here. But your worry or criticism is not wrong, that you could have gone out and maybe gotten something, but who knows? I mean, you don't want to send out Cesar Hernandez because he's doing pretty well, and especially since he got back from the DL. Freddie Galvis is somebody that you might be able to send off because of an injury. So there wasn't a ton you could do. Maybe in the offseason if somebody finds some value, because really a lot of those guys that you could have had as great trade bait have not done so well this year. And that includes the pitching, and Vince Velasquez is I mean, he's been injured, but this is a perfect example of that. He was a guy that was, sent or, had his day or his year shortened last year because of injury and had a lot of expectations and really hasn't lived up to them this year.
No, and you're not wrong, and it's one of those things where the Phillies are caught in this place where it's not like their farm system's loaded like the Rays and the Royals. It's not like
they're still great. They're number 4 by Baseball America.
Yeah, but that's because they have so many young guys. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's a good point. There's a lot of their guys aren't coming up until 2019.
If they were that good, they would be in the majors now for the September call-ups, or even now because their team is awful. Like, why not give these kids a shot? So for me,
well, I think
they're caught in this place where I think, it doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. And you think about the Phillies teams that went to the World Series or had some deep runs. Those are the teams that had some big names. They went out and spent some money. They were the teams that, went out and had the offense, had the big bat, had the starting pitching. Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay. They went out and got these guys.
Well, so it's interesting that you bring up spending because the Phillies really don't have any money on their roster right now. They have a lot of money that they can spend, and they haven't really yet. And I don't know if they're waiting to try to see if they can somehow throw themselves into the the Bryce Harper sweepstakes, because he somehow doesn't mind the Phillies fans. He hates Mets fans and Braves fans more than he hates Philadelphia. So good for us. I guess it's also because he hits like 350 at Citizens Bank Park. So that's always nice.
Everyone
you don't give a shit.
Everyone keeps talking about Bryce Harper leaving. Does he want out?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the Nationals probably don't have as much money to spend as, the teams that are thrown out there are the largest city in the world, the third largest city in America, and the 5th largest city in America. In other words, very large markets. They can easily recoup any money that they spend on a player. Washington, D.C., not so big. So people are just trying to use economics to explain that. Whether or not he wants to leave, there's the jokes that have been thrown around about Bryce Harper and Chris Bryant, high school buddies, being all excited to see each other at Wrigley. He's going to keep those cards to his chest. If he wants to, if they don't make any sort of serious run, the Nationals in the playoffs, maybe he does what Kevin Durant did and he just goes to one of the best teams and wins himself a World Series. But who knows? I mean, we have another year of him in Washington, and the rumors will be flying.
That was my big question is, do you think that so he's got 2 years left in his contract?
Yeah, he has one more year. He re-upped it, and he's getting paid more money next year. But it's the end of 2018 is when he's a free agent.
Jeez. Oh my God.
That's why this is such a weird conversation to be having too.
So why is it all over the place? Anyways, let's one last thing
it's a question to be brought. Yeah, it's something to be brought up at another time.
Do you think that he do you think he's about 100% making money in his brand, or do you think he's about winning a World Series?
I got to think he's about winning a World Series. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that, he certainly likes looking good. He loves the hair. He does the hair flip, the infamous hair flip from the All-Star game. But he's also he has that competitive attitude to him that it's hard to believe that they wouldn't want to win a World Series and put that above anything else. I could see him shaving his head and going to become a Yankee.
Hasn't that always been the knock on him, though? Wasn't that why him and Papelbon got in a little fight? Was because Papelbon was like, this guy strikes out, he doesn't care. This guy, ground and don't play, doesn't care. Wasn't that like the whole thing?
I think that was a little bit. I think it was the strikeouts, but it's interesting that you actually bring that up because it's something that's been pointed out by a lot of different baseball writers that we're at this apex where, and we haven't even mentioned the Aaron Judge slump, but that these guys don't care if they strike out anymore because it's becoming to this apex point that is the reason why the independent of defense ERA exists, that there's only really three things that at the its core for baseball that can happen. There's a strikeout or there's a hit. It's, really, if you're inefficient by getting a ground out, you should be getting a strikeout. But that's the same thing with these guys. You either get a home run or you strike out trying, and they don't really care because they can just get home runs. They can hit these power balls, and they don't need to play as it's kind of like the that's an old reference, so I won't make it. But yeah, but I mean, it's an interesting point that these guys, that's what they want. They want home runs. They want to try to win the game. But I think, though, that Bryce has probably learned from that. That was almost 2 years ago, actually, now that we think about it, the Papelbon chokeout. But
you think he's done a better job of hiding it, or do you think he's actually changed his ways? Anyways.
Yeah, it's an interesting part. That's a deeper conversation. I think we could have at another time. But
let's get into segments here.
Yeah, let's move to some segments.
Right,
you want to start fan favorite, or do you want to go Little League World Series?
All you listeners out there, I'm sorry. We're sorry for the tangent. I don't want to speak for Jordy, but we're sorry that we went on that tangent. And we apologize. We're going to bring it in the next segments. Let's amp it up, Jordy. Let's go.
Woo!
Let's go. Let's get right into it. Let's go Little League World Series. I'm so pumped.
All right, let's do Little League World Series. I'm pumped for this, actually.
I've been there.
Where do you want to start? You want to start at the game that was just on, or you want to go Georgia Kid?
I've been there twice. It's an unbelievable atmosphere. I watch it. Been watching it, obviously, just like everyone else for years. I've gone to it twice with my cousins. It wasn't just a creepy old person going to it. There were little kids. That was even worse. I went with my cousin who was age appropriate. So,
Jesus, Greg.
I know.
Good Lord.
Anyways, age appropriate for Little League.
Giving me shit for that a couple weeks ago, man.
Age appropriate for Little League World Series. All right, jeez, come on.
All right.
So, anyways, the point is that it's a great, awesome experience. So yeah, a couple stories. I know things are starting to leak out now, but with social media and all this stuff, like now the game's being televised, whether these teams make the Little League World Series or not, they can still have these like 15 seconds of fame moments. Like you got that huge kid from Maine or the whatever Boog or whatever. You got the kid from Georgia smashing home runs like 400 feet over trees and stuff like that, like over the forest behind the.
Yeah, he hit it far enough to be a home run in a major league park, and the fence is 200 feet.
Which is absurd, like unbelievable. Like that type of power from a kid that age. That's always begged the question of should they move the fence back, but that we don't really want to get into talking about.
That sounds like it's an electric conversation, talking about whether Little League should consider moving their fences back.
That's why we're not talking about it here. We're bringing the fire. I think it's great. I think, yeah, people complain, blah, 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 little kids on TV. It's awesome. Seeing the emotion, the raw emotion of a kid, like whether he does well or makes a mistake, it's why people come back to it.
Yeah, it's definitely something where, like, and it kind of comes back to what we talked about before. There's not a ton in August, and these are games that count. So if it's ESPN or ABC having the League World Series versus NBC having third stringers on the Cowboys and Cardinals playing each other, I'm going to watch a Little League. It's something you don't get to watch all the time. It's fun when the coaches are mic'd up and they go up on the mound there, and you get to hear what they're saying. And the storylines too, especially the international side, hearing some of the funny stuff they do, the traditions, like the Saudi Arabia team always bleaching their hair and whatnot, and those kind of things. They're all fun to see.
For sure. Agreed. All right, let's hit with some segments.
All right, so the fan favorite, Greg, stadium snacks. We're going to do a little stadium snacks adjacent. I have one from the stadium, but I think it goes right into yours. at the amusement park snacks. So still ballpark, stadium park, or ballpark amusement park. Let's get into it. I have at Guaranteed Rate Field, which hell of a name, Greg. Hell of a name for a stadium. It's the Chicago White Sox. The Choco Kebab.
Ooh, that's okay. First thoughts without having any idea what it is. All right, I'm just gonna tell you what I think it is. Then why don't you give us what it actually is, right?
Yeah.
So when I hear the name Choco Kebab, here's what I think. I think a chocolate shish kebab with like fruit and other types of chocolate sweet goodness. So I'm thinking it's a dessert type kebab. Although that doesn't make sense. Kebab is definitely dinner. Nope, I'm sticking to it. Dessert type. I'm going with my initial reaction. Dessert type kebab, fruit, chocolate, candy. Let's go.
Yeah, so it's interesting that it's called a kebab because it's basically in the style of a gyro or a gyro for our European friends out there. And you've ever seen the gyro machine, how it's a slab of beef or of chicken or of lamb that just spins and you shave it off?
Yeah.
So this is what that is.
Oh.
It's a giant slab of chocolate, shave it off. They put it in, it looks like almost a crepe. I don't have a very good description of it. I just have a video. But it looks like a crepe, a little whipped cream, maybe a little fruit. I'm not sure. There's not really a ton on this Twitter video that's on this article. But looks pretty damn good. And an interesting way to...
It's just a piece of shaved down chocolate inside of like a crepe or a burrito.
Yeah, exactly. It's the description of it is, yes, it's a spinning spit of shavable chocolate. Get yourself a weird dessert gyro this year at Chicago White Sox home games. Totally unnecessary, not necessarily disgusting. I don't even know if you need that last sentence. I mean, it sounds pretty good to me. I love chocolate, but you know that's it's definitely unique, and it's something that it's good for everybody. I feel like it appeals to a lot of different bases.
Well, no. Here's the thing. Not to rain on the parade, but if I'm like, you think about a peanut butter and Nutella, the closest thing I can think of, a Nutella, or even just Nutella with bread. You know, the old college staples. I don't think I'd ever want just like a Hershey's chocolate spread on bread.
Oh man, you're not living.
That's just, I mean, I've had my fair share of Nutella, but I don't know if I don't know. Anyways, I definitely don't think it's gross, but the idea of just straight chocolate on bread without anything else mixed in, although you mentioned the whipped cream or the whatever.
Yeah, there's a little bit to mix in. You know, it's not just chocolate. You know, let's
I can get on board. I could get on board. I could try it. I could get on board.
Yeah, believe in. Look to the spit. Look to the black and white gyro. Damn it, I fucked up that Seinfeld quote. I wanted to say look to the cookie, but
where can the fans find? Where can the listeners find this this week's stadium snack?
Greg, you clearly weren't listening when I introed it. At Guaranteed Rate Field at the Chicago White Sox home games.
I thought you were going to. You clearly didn't understand what I was saying. I thought you were going to repost it via Twitter and Instagram on the Thunder BLG on Instagram and Thunder Blog on Twitter.
Reversing them, Greg. Oh man, oh jeez. But yeah, so they'll be on the social media and the Thunder Blog post to accompany this. Thank you, Greg, for the sweet plug there. You're so kind.
Listen, I try to give the blog some plug. I don't think you get a lot of. I think we get a lot of listeners to the pod. I think we need to increase the clicks to your website specifically.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we can get the old click count up. It sounded weird, but let's get to your snack. What do you got for me?
So I know what you're looking for, and
what am I looking for?
I was traveling this weekend. My brother, who shall remain nameless, turned 30. And as a 30-year-old man-child, he wanted to go to Harry Potter World in Orlando.
Man-child.
Harry Potter World in Orlando for his 30th birthday. So as
pretty awesome trip.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. Harry Potter World.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Harry Potter World is great. You know, there's a ride inside of Hogwarts, the castle, and the ride itself was pretty cool. And it's one of the like jerks you back and forth, and you definitely get, you know, CTE whiplash from it. But the coolest part was when you're waiting in line to get to the ride, you're inside Hogwarts. So, you know, you pass the fat lady who's the one who opens the door for Gryffindor Tower. You pass all the different paintings on the wall actually talk. It's not corny stuff. They actually, you know, have some cool things and they interact with you. There's the sorting hat that says things. There's, you know, there's cool stuff up and down. You pass Dumbledore's little Phoenix staircase he has, or gargoyle, whatever it is, staircase going up to his office, and then you see a video or a hologram of Dumbledore, even though rest in peace. You know, you see him in his office. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler, Jesus.
It's awesome, but that's just waiting. That's just waiting for the ride. You know, I think the waiting.
Really? Whoa, wait, we haven't started the ride yet?
No, that's all just waiting. That's all like you're in line waiting for the ride.
Well done, Universal. Well done.
Yeah, that's all just waiting inside for the ride. The ride itself, you know, the ride itself was like you're chasing Voldemort around on broomsticks and you're fighting battles and blah, blah, blah. And, you know.
Do you get a Patronus?
It's kind of a virtual reality ride of sorts, but it's a lot more going into it. But it's one of those things where, like, there's Dementors and, like, yeah, there is Patronus.
So, yes,
like,
you get a Patronus. All right. This is important stuff, Greg.
They, like, suck your face and, you know, it's this whole thing. But the point is that
they kiss you, Greg. Dementors kiss.
The best part about it was anyways. The best part about it was the wait, the build up going through the castle. So anyways, stadium snack, big tangent there.
Good description. This is a good lead in. I'm feeling excited.
Had to be the butterbeer that they serve in this place.
Oh man, I've heard great things about the butterbeer.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's almost like a caramel or butterscotch type of thing, and they have this.
Yeah, I've always thought it'd be like a butterscotch. Is it sudsy?
So my understanding was there's three different. Universal sells three different types.
Yeah.
One was just a regular butterbeer, like a non-alcoholic type thing. Yeah. The other one was the frozen one, which was the best, unbelievable. The frozen butterbeer was.
Is it like frozen margarita style?
Hands down, the best thing. No, there's no alcohol, but yeah, it's like that type of like icy type thing. It was unbelievable. Yeah. And I thought I'm pretty sure I heard someone mention it being beer, but there was actual like alcohol thing. But this one, I certainly did not have it. But for me, butterbeer was and is the stadium snack for me of the week. My biggest gripe with Universal in general as a whole is that most of their rides now, they have 4 or 5 true roller coasters, but most of the rides now are the virtual reality ones. So where like you're sitting on a couch or whatever, you're like a cart, and the cart itself is like moving side to side and up and down. And then
but you're not on rails.
Yeah, it's not actually going anywhere, and the screen is just moving in and out and this and that. So like motion sickness to the max. So for me, I was a little disappointed in that. However, Harry Potter World as itself as a whole was unbelievable.
That is that's pretty awesome. I'm sure I will check it out at some point. Miss Third and Girl is a huge Harry Potter fan, so expect, Greg, a little bit of a critique on your Harry Potter-ness in terms of describing the inside of Hogwarts Castle.
Listen, if I was trying to dumb it down, not dumb it down, that's the wrong word. I was trying to explain things.
Yeah, Harry Potter's anything but dumb.
I was trying to explain things to those fans of the show who may not listen to Harry Potter or watch Harry Potter or read Harry Potter. I was trying to explain to the fans the ins and outs of the castle as if they've never or known or they know nothing about Harry Potter.
All right. Well, fair enough.
If Third and Girl wants to invite me on her pod or blog or whatever she has and have a Harry Potter nerd off, I am more than willing to test my knowledge against hers.
Ooh, this we might need to market this up. But we're starting to run a little bit out of time. We've the GP Megapods are always a pleasure.
What time?
What time
are we looking at?
I don't have the total running time of the pod, but it is now after midnight.
It had to be. Anyways, the point is, we have a great time.
Oh, always a great time to have Greg on. Yeah, it's we aren't afraid to push it as deep as possible, in terms of the depth that we go into for our baseball fans out there. And we always appreciate you listening. But Greg, let's look at the week ahead. Pretty much as a housekeeping note, as you mentioned, people go away in August. I too am taking a little vacation, leaving for Michigan on Sunday, and I'll be coming back Wednesday. So probably baseball will be later in the week. I'm going to try to do Game of Thrones at some point next week. I'm not sure when I'm going to be watching it because I'm driving out to Michigan on Sunday, so I'll miss watching the show live. Hopefully I don't get spoiled. But yeah, let's look at the next week for baseball. Greg, what series are you looking at this weekend? And we already talked about the Red Sox Yankees, so let's look at two other series that everybody should be watching out for.
You're handcuffing me here. No,
if you want to go Red Sox Yankees, and
nope. Big series, I think, is Chicago and Arizona.
Okay.
The Cubs, they're on the road. They need to sort of get out of this little, they're playing 500 ball right now. I think they need to start to step things up with their race. And Arizona obviously is trying to hang on to that wild card spot. So that's one thing that I would look out for this weekend. Another matchup that I like, or not like, but another one that I think can be intriguing is a battle of the basement dwellers, the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies. Always good to see those two together.
Oh, yeah. I'm going on Saturday, and it should be a lot of fun. One of my buddies from work has some of his friends from Long Island coming down, and a couple other guys we used to work with at our former employer are going to come meet us. We're going to tailgate Saturday, and it's always a good time. It's interesting with the Mets, even when both teams are good, the Mets, because it's just cheaper to drive down to Philadelphia and go to the game here than it is to really do anything in New York City. Not a shot at New York. It's just very expensive. So it's always an interesting split of Mets fans to Phillies fans. It's like when the Red Sox go anywhere, the Red Sox Nation comes out in full. Well, New York does the same thing in Philadelphia. They take up a lot of the market share of the seats.
So what is I love it. I hate New York, but I love the fact that the rivalry is still alive. What is your series?
Oh, easily.
This weekend?
Yeah, mine actually is going to be the Indians and the Rays.
Yep.
Indians are a team that need to turn it around a little bit. The Rays are a team that are hanging in there.
I knew you were going there. That's why I didn't bring it up.
Yeah, and I really like the Friday pitching matchup. Carlos Carrasco versus Jacob Faria.
Great job.
Yeah, it's certainly intriguing. Looking at the rest of the series, you have Mike Clevinger versus Chris Archer, and I don't have Sunday because ESPN's stupid that way in terms of their calendar. But great starting pitching, young starting pitching in Tampa Bay. They always seem to be able to do this, but it's something that can either make or break Tampa Bay's season. I mean, if you get swept,
Kluber versus Pruitt.
Oh, that's even better. Thank you for that. But yeah, it's something that Tampa Bay. We talked about the Mariners coming back into it. The Angels are hanging around right there, who are beating the Mariners right now in the 7th inning. And who knows, how this wild card race is going to shake out. Tampa Bay, I still am not too confident on, but if they can take advantage of a slow moving Cleveland team, that's going to make a big difference.
And then into the week, I love it. I think that is a great matchup to watch in the AL. And coming up into the week, the rest of the week, I think the Subway Series that gets going next week. Mets Yankees is going to be huge, or not huge.
How about the Tuesday matchup? Sonny Gray versus Jacob deGrom.
I love it. Another one is that I'm looking out for is Arizona again versus Houston.
Ooh, that's actually really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, two potential playoff teams, and you never know what can happen. But Jordy, great pod. You're awesome.
Absolutely, you're the best.
Awesome. Give us where we can find this not only the blog itself, but the great social media that you've ramped up recently. Where can we find it?
Yeah, so thunderblogsports.com, that's our presenting website. That's where you can find writings by me, every once in a while by Matty D when he's not too lazy. He celebrated National Lazy Day very well today, Greg. I'll put it that way. But on social media, you can find us on Twitter, ThunderBLG. Thunderblog Sports is the Instagram. It's also where you can find us on Facebook. But, really check out the site and let us know what you think. Anything you think we missed, anything you want to see on here. Any questions, comments, concerns that you have, you can leave it right here on the YouTube page or right on the website itself. Go subscribe to us on iTunes, like us on YouTube, Instagram, all that good jazz. And, I think that's going to do it for Greg. Any other thoughts?
No, I mean, it's the only thing that I can think of that I need is a Thunderblog bumper sticker or a hat.
Yeah, some swag.
Yeah, exactly.
We're working on updating the logo with a buddy of mine who used to work for Victory Brewing. We give them a lot of plugs during the beer corner. But stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for a few updates there.
Throw it out to the crowd. See what they got. See what the audience thinks.
Yeah, if you want to try to undercut my buddy, send us any thoughts that you have there. We would love to partner up with a few people.
Love it. All right, I'm in. I love it. Great job, Jordy. Great pod. Love the podcast. Even when I'm not on it, you guys do a great job. Matty D knows his stuff, and Third and Girl certainly knows her stuff. I love your recaps of Game of Thrones, which has turned into just recapping the episode, as well as your opinions. And a
little conspiracy theories as well. I put the tin hat on.
You're right. There are some things in there that I often am like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So that is doing well.
I'm here for it.
Doing good as well. The only thing that I have a problem with is the fact that the bullpen cart has taken a back seat to the Thrones pod.
Not necessarily a back seat. August has been a weird month for me in terms of timing and travel. I was at a training this week. That's why baseball's coming on Thursday. I probably would have come on Monday or Tuesday, but I was in New Jersey with zero service, so that was a little rough.
Listen, it sounds like an excuse.
Yeah,
I'm a big.
But hey,
I listen to whatever episode comes out, regardless of baseball or Thrones or what have you. So,
as a quick bonus look ahead to the viewers, Greg, I'm going to challenge you. Pick a conference for college football, and we'll do a little special Fun V tailgate for it.
I don't know what that means, but I'm obviously going to pick the ACC because of Syracuse.
That's what I figured, but I'm giving you first pick because Matt's lazy. So you get the ACC, and that's going to be it was my college football series on the blog last year, and that's going to be the podcast for it within this feed. But
You know, I love college football. You know who's a great college football person to talk
Who?
to? Stevie G knows everything about college football.
Yes. Oh, if we do an ACC, oh, Greg, let's we'll leave that. Another mega pod with him would be fantastic. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks again, everybody. Greg, really appreciate you coming on as always. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks again.